All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for having us here and for putting this whole Fringe Festival on. We're really excited to be here. Michelle and I are going to talk today about the etiquette of feedback and how to overcome this feedback hurdle, both giving and receiving. Because feedback, it's crucial to growth and improvement, but it can be really hard. It seems really easy, right? Like we all have opinions. We see something, react to it, we talk about it. But that's not good feedback, and it can actually be harmful to both yourself and the person who you are giving it to. So I really want to focus on like successful feedback, how to give it, how to receive it, in order to not only grow personally, but also help grow the community. So I'm Nicole, Tableau Public Ambassador. I've been using Tableau Public for 2 years, but I've been doing Tableau and DataViz for about 7 now, and joined the community about 1.5 years ago. I co-host with Michelle the Office Hours and the Feedback Initiative, which is where we really like grew together to talk about feedback and our love of it and why we want to share it with y'all today.
And I'm Michelle Frayman. I'm a Tableau Public Ambassador. I've been using Tableau since about 2014, but I really got involved with Tableau Public in 2018 for Makeover Monday. I started doing it right before conference and I never looked back. Feedback has been critical to both my professional and personal growth. And I employ it all the time, as Nicole noted, in the feedback loop, in our feedback office hours, participating in community projects, and I hope you'll see the value in it.
All right, so we have a lot going on in 20 minutes. So just kind of a brief overview, where are we going? We really want to, our target audience is everyone. Anyone who gives or receives feedback hopefully will take something away from today's presentation. We're going to talk about why it's important to give feedback and to give it in not to just give your opinion and like blurt it out everything, but like ways to give it. Where can you get feedback? Because hopefully at the end of this, you're going to be like, I want all the feedback. How can I get it? When to provide feedback, and then how to provide it in a positive way. And just in general, like, why is it important, and how can you use it to grow both personally and professionally?
So, who is this aimed at? Everybody. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, you can provide feedback. Have you ever asked anybody for feedback before, regardless of whether it's data visualization? Have you ever had an opinion? You know what they say about opinions, everybody has one. Maybe you're new to data visualization, you may not think you have anything to offer, but you can give somebody feedback on the clarity of their viz and whether you understood the content they're presenting. You can also give them, providing you couch it appropriately, this is your opinion on what works for you and what doesn't work for you. As a more experienced person, you can really help somebody grow their skills and expand on their journey. Providing them examples of best practices, chart choices, different colors they might use, or just a different direction they might go. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and it can be hard to envision where you might go with something. So having somebody more experienced giving you feedback can be a fantastic opportunity. And even if you are more experienced, there's still opportunity for you to get feedback. I'm a big believer in lifetime learning. I don't think we ever stop, and I hope there's always opportunity for growth and improvement. So why should you request and ask for and provide feedback? As I said before, feedback has been critical in my journey. It has allowed me to grow and make new connections and become a part of the Tableau community. Just by engaging in the conversation, you get to meet other people, and there are so many different ways you can do it. You can do it via Twitter chats or other social media chats. You can do it by directly DMing somebody. You can participate in community projects, and there are feedback opportunities, and you can often join in the conversation there. There's always our Viz office hours, and we love to have everybody join us. It also gives you a different perspective. When you're deep in the woods of your visualization and working on something, you can't always see some of the opportunities for improvement. I know that happens to me all the time, particularly if you've been working on something for a long time. You can get very tied to how you've presented it. It's really helpful to have another perspective that can enlighten you on different ways you might take it. Even if you are happy with where you are, sometimes you get stuck. And sometimes it can be really discouraging if you get stuck. You're not really sure how to tease out an idea, talking it out with somebody. Sometimes just telling somebody your problem can help you identify a solution all on your own. And participating in Viz reviews isn't just about getting your own visualization reviewed. I have learned from every single visualization review I've ever participated in, whether it's giving somebody else feedback, participating in Makeover Monday and watching other people's visualizations, Iron Quest, the feedback loop. Everybody else chooses to analyze and visualize their data and give different perspectives on it is an opportunity for you to learn and bring something back to your own work. And all participants are welcome to join in the discussion. It's not just about the experts. Viz office hours, we love to have everybody join in. Makeover Monday feedback sessions, there's always a lively chat in the chat session. There are plenty of ways that you can join in. Again, jump into the conversation in social media. I think it's a really welcoming community and there's great opportunities.
I muted myself because my neighbors are cutting down trees or something, because of course they would do that today. So here's an example of some feedback in action. I presented this at I presented the top dashboard at the office hours when Michelle and Zach. And, it's this idea of I was really entrenched in this design. I wanted a magazine layout. That was kind of the goal I was going for. This was very early on in my design. I hadn't read any design books at this point, so I was really playing along with it. And I had gotten very entrenched in this, and I knew it didn't feel right, but I could not figure out what to do to make it feel right. And so that was something where I went to the office hours and was like, you know what? I want and I built this together. We want this magazine look, and we want it to flow that way. And we got great feedback. Some of the feedback was, it's really hard to scroll horizontally and vertically. It's okay, it's something that I can go with and I can take it and I can build off of that. It's not prescriptive of go build this. It's here's your vision. And Michelle and Zach were so great in helping me realize I have my vision, I can't get there. Where are the ways I can go for that? And it's really helpful, and it helped create totally redesign it into what we imagined, but we just couldn't visualize.
So how to provide feedback? I still remember one of the earliest visits that I did. Anna Ford reached out to me via DM, and she asked me, are you open to feedback? I prefer to provide feedback in private DMs because I'm never sure how people will take being approached about it. And that meant so much to me. I was new on the scene. I was really intimidated by all these other people who were out there doing these amazing visualizations. I was intimidated and amazed by her. And it was really helpful to have that feedback done in a private setting. Now, there are a lot of people who post their visualizations out in public and ask for feedback. When somebody asks for public feedback, it is absolutely appropriate to provide it there. But you also have to keep in mind that is what you're providing constructive and positive, and is it adding to the value of what they're doing? Are you just trying to make an additional point that's already been made? Is it helping to contribute to their overall vision? I always say all feedback is true, but that's really not necessarily true. You have to meet people where they are, and newer people may be overwhelmed by having a lot of different types of feedback. People like to hear feedback in different ways. Some people, again, prefer it privately. I'm a big fan of praise in public, give feedback in private, but we all have different mechanisms where we like on how we like to take that. And you have to remember, everyone who's asked for feedback or who's published something publicly is working to improve themselves. You can be direct and you can still be kind and constructive and provide actionable feedback that they can do something with. Good feedback helps the recipient achieve their vision, not yours. And sometimes it's hard to separate personal preference from design choices and best practice. So try and keep in mind, is it your opinion or is it something that really needs to be improved?
Yeah, so going off of that, as Michelle said, we all have opinions, but what is it that we can do to help? Data viz, we're analysts. We like numbers, we like specs, we like things like that. But data viz is science and an art, and there is some subjectivity to it. And so we have to keep that in mind when we're talking and giving feedback to people. So, meeting people where they are. The first time I asked for feedback from someone, I asked for it privately because I knew personally, like, I couldn't handle it on Twitter. I was just new, I was anxious, I needed it privately. So I sent it to an amazing friend and he wrote back and he's like, in a very nice, polite way, but the gist was, do you want my real feedback? Or do you want kind of like happy, fluffy, this is a great viz feedback? And I appreciated that because I wanted the real feedback. That's why I asked for it. But I appreciated knowing that it was going to be what was coming to me and to know like that he was coming from a place where he was trying to help me grow. And if I couldn't have handled like that level, I could have backed out. So a lot of people kind of will use this idea of toxic positivity as an excuse to be a little bit harsher in giving feedback, because they'll say, we don't want this community where everyone's just positive all the time and we're always praising each other's business, because we'll never grow that way. You can have positive feedback and not create toxic positivity. It's just, people want to give their opinions and they want an excuse to give their opinions in a not so nice way, and to like, and so being positive with the feedback, there's, a lot of different ways, sandwich ways, a compliment, some criticism, a compliment, but realizing that it's art as well as science. Some of the science things, you can be very direct with that. Your message really should be a median and not a mean. It's misleading this way. Things like that, go for it. Like, if we're going to be misleading or unethical, like, yes, you can be direct, again, preferably privately, not on Twitter, but be direct. But with the artistic stuff, realize that they are the artist and kind of figure out what they're looking for. For me, I was looking for a more magazine layout, not a long scrolling. Michelle and Zach helped me find that in the example we showed. So kind of make that like, what is your goal? And then once you understand what their goal is, then you can start having that conversation around the feedback. Receiving it in different ways. I never put open to feedback when I publish on Twitter, and it's not because I'm super conceited or I feel like my business is perfect, but it's because I have anxiety. I cannot handle getting feedback publicly that way. And so I know that, and I don't ask for it, but I am totally open privately, and I will send my business out to like 5 different people before I publish to get that private feedback, because that's where I am. And people respect that. I really appreciate it. And, as I kind of mentioned before, it's their vision, it's not yours. And so you want to make sure you're helping to get there. And this point, we gave this talk a little bit earlier with Women in Data Viz, and Kim Tracker had this great point. Make sure, like, for parts of the feedback, again, if there's things that are just unethical or wrong or misleading, or, it really needed things like that, that's one thing. But especially on design and artistic things, frame your feedback as an opinion, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's your opinion on how you reacted to their viz, and the fact that they know how you reacted, they can go back and say, yep, I want people to react that way, or no, I really was hoping to get a different reaction. Let me figure out how I can do it. but you're not taking over their artwork and their story. You're helping them see how people react to their story so that they can build it stronger.
So here's an example of one of my earliest vises that I got feedback from Makeover Monday. And I love keeping my early vises out on Tableau Public so that I can see how far I've come, and so that other people, if they are interested in seeing where I started, can see how far I came. This is a great example of clear, direct feedback. I actually transcribed, I listened to the Makeover Monday session again and transcribed Andy's comments because they were really so helpful. And I probably could have iterated more after getting this feedback, but I did choose to iterate every single time I got feedback from somebody, because I felt like if they spent the time to give me the feedback, it was important to put it into practice. And that doesn't mean that you have to put every single thing that somebody recommends to you into practice. It's okay to disagree with what they're recommending. To Nicole's point, you are the artist, and if it doesn't match your personal vision, then you can choose to stick with it. Again, ensuring that you are actually presenting accurate information and that it is ethical. This chart on the right, he doesn't understand what it's doing. Going back and looking at this again, I don't understand what I was doing with it. There are no labels, there are no axes. There's a whole lot of double encoding, and we won't even talk about the traffic light colors that he was actually very generous in saying it. Maybe it went with the whole viz about the buses. But he gave me very actionable information that helped me improve my design and learn. And I'm grateful for all of the feedback that I've gotten from so many people over the last few years.
All right, so we also wanted to take a little time in receiving feedback because it can be overwhelming to receive feedback, or if you don't receive it it can hurt you if you do, if you react to it in certain ways. So first off, having a specific ask. If you're asking for feedback, ask for something that's specific. Now, that doesn't mean like I have 20 charts, give me feedback on one. It just means in general, like I'm doing this viz for Makeover Monday. I really want to focus on clarity. Can I have some feedback? Or this viz is for a competition. I'd really appreciate any feedback that you have, just being a little bit more specific so it's not just a free-for-all, because giving feedback does take time and you want to make sure you're getting feedback on what you need and that you are honoring the other person's time who's giving it to you. Make use of what works for you. You are the artist. It is feedback, again, should hopefully be an opinion unless it's the hard stuff. And it's to help you build your vision. But it's also important when you don't use all of the feedback, just to let the person know who gave it to you, what worked and what didn't. Because time is precious for all of us. I love giving people feedback. I will give feedback to, anyone who asks. And, if someone asks me for feedback and I give it to them and they don't do anything with it, but they tell me like, I really appreciated your feedback. That's not quite the way I was looking for it. I really think this is where I want to go. That's great. I know it didn't work for them. It was my opinion. They wanted to keep their vision. I will happily help them, in the future with feedback. But if I give my time to someone and give them a lot of feedback, and not only do they not use any of it, but they never tell me like, I get nothing, not even like a thanks for this, or, this didn't work or why I didn't do it. I'm going to be less inclined to give feedback in the future because that was a lot of my time that I gave. And so just knowing like, hey, say thanks, give them a shout out when you post it. It helps build those connections so that you always have someone who's willing to have those feedback conversations with you. Iterate, keep your older versions. Michelle's great at it. Obviously, I'm not, because the example I gave didn't have any charts on it because I didn't have the viz. I only had the background Figma file. But it's good to have those older versions so you can kind of see how you've grown. And, as Michelle said, just attending a review, even if it's not for your own viz, you will learn a lot. All right. And so last slide, where can we give feedback? There are a million ways to give feedback or to receive feedback within the data fam, through community projects, through DMs. It can be intimidating. I totally get it. It can be intimidating to reach out to someone in the community, especially someone who's like maybe an ambassador or a visionary and you're brand new to the community. But a lot of us really are open to feedback. And you're just kind of watching Twitter. I need to be better about this and just like posting out there, hey, I'm willing to give feedback. But just start and just ask. And what I always do is I say, hey, are you open to giving me feedback? That's it. And if they say yes or no, then I send the viz, because I don't want them to feel obligated that like they have to give feedback on my viz. So just starting that conversation. So that's the DMs. We do office hours. We will do the feedback loop probably in the spring. And then a lot of community projects have a feedback component to it as well, like Makeover Monday, back to Viz Basics, things like that. And so you can get it there as well if you don't want to just reach out directly. 1 minute over.
What excellent timing. That was right on. Very cool. Very cool. You're gonna win some sort of prize, you know? You're gonna hit that 20-minute mark. It's perfect. Guys, this is awesome. It's really timely, I think, this time of year too. Really just thinking about feedback. Vincent mentioned something in the chat too about performance reviews coming through. And you know, it's funny because it's like also it takes a while to kind of open up to receive that feedback. And I think the first few times you kind of hear the feedback, but really kind of internally all you hear is, oh, I suck at life. Oh, I suck at life. This was all terrible. But it really isn't. Yeah.
It's possible that still happens.
Possibly, yeah.
And
But
that's why it's important to be positive when you give your feedback, because you want them to know it doesn't suck. Like, no, I have not seen a viz that has nothing redeemable in it at all. And you want them to know, like, they're going there, they're getting there, you're gonna get there. It could be great already. And that's why you want to, you know, be positive and not just like dump on things because you have opinions.
And it's not a personal attack, and
Yeah.
it shouldn't feel that way. And everybody is on some continuum of a journey. You know, if you're just starting out and you're learning, that's how you grow and change and get better. You can't do it all on your own in isolation. And even at the other end, teaching other people is a way for you to continue to grow. And
Yeah.
I did not thank you all at the beginning. I want to thank everybody who put together the Tableau Fringe Festival. Y'all are amazing. And this has been such a great experience. Thank you for inviting us to speak.
There are so many great folks that have helped out on the really behind the scenes when it comes to TFF. They've done an awesome job. You guys presenting, putting together your presentation, everybody who's presented, they've done an excellent job putting together these presentations. Every year we kind of outdo it, and everyone's presentations are fantastic. But one of the best parts of this, and it's kind of funny because I think I said it earlier on, but it's when I got married, I was really stressed out and apprehensive about the wedding, and one of the wedding planners just came over and she put her arm around me and she's just kind of like, okay, you got food, you got alcohol, you got music, you guys are showing up. There's going to be somebody to officiate. Now all you need is the people show up. And when the people actually make the wedding. And it's not the same about the Fringe Festival. It's really the audience. And when you see kind of the audience responding to great presentations, and you see it later on when people start sharing the videos, it really makes a difference. And there's no better feeling that when you finished your presentation and you're able to walk away, and really just wonderful feeling. So great, excellent job, guys. Definitely seeing the chat light up with a lot of hearts and loves, and definitely a lot of applause for this too. Very helpful, and I think it's something that we should do more often too. I know personally, I tend to reach out to certain people who I know, you know, I'm like, it's just gone a little too well positively. I'm like, rip me apart just a little bit. Just come on, give me something to go off of, and it feels good to get to that point.
And that's where it's a conversation, and now people know where you're at and can meet you there too. So I've grown so much from feedback, and I don't ask for it publicly, So you can grow so much even from private feedback. Like there's just so many ways to grow with it.
There is a point where you kind of find you find your crew, and
Mhm.
they're the people that you really trust will give you some great feedback. And I know I have like one or two people where I just know they're like, oh, bigger font here, make that's way too big. And it's really quick,
Mhm.
and it might take maybe a minute or two, and really it makes a difference within the biz. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely get out there and find your people, find the folks that
Yes.
really help.